The Baltimore Bridge collapse is going to have an enormous impact on U.S. supply chains, Michael Snyder reports. When I awoke early on Tuesday morning, I was stunned to learn that the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore had collapsed. We're being told that it was a tragic accident, quote unquote, and that there is no evidence that any foul play was involved. Hopefully that's true, but no matter how it was caused, this tragedy is going to have an enormous impact on U.S. supply chains. And of course, this comes at a really bad time because Houthi missile strikes in the Red Sea and low water levels in the Panama Canal have been putting a tremendous amount of strain on global supply chains recently. According to Bloomberg, it appears that the Port of Baltimore will be out of commission indefinitely. The Port of Baltimore, the biggest handler of U.S. imports and exports of cars and light trucks, looks to be out of commission indefinitely. The resulting bottleneck could accelerate a shift of goods through West Coast ports. Another crucial question: which other ports have spare capacity to handle the ro-ro vessels that carry automobiles if Baltimore is closed for an extended period? This is a really big deal because over 750,000 vehicles came through that port last year alone. The port is the busiest in the U.S. for car shipments, handling more than 750,000 vehicles in 2023, according to data from the Maryland Port Administration. It also is the largest U.S. port by volume for handling farm and construction machinery, as well as agricultural products. In addition, a whole host of prominent retailers are very dependent on the Port of Baltimore. Retailers like Home Depot, Bob's Furniture, IKEA, and Amazon are just some of the companies that use the port to import goods. Other top imports include sugar and gypsum. This will have an impact for trade all along the East Coast, and it will continue until we know how quickly the port can reopen, said Richard Meade, editor-in-chief of the shipping journal Lloyd's List. Vessels are already being diverted to New York and down to Virginia on Tuesday, said Meade. There will be dozens of diversions in the next week and hundreds in the coming months as long as Baltimore is shut down. This is not the end of the world, and shipments can certainly be delivered to other ports, but we're talking about the 11th largest port in the entire nation, and so this will definitely be a serious blow. More than 52 million tons of foreign cargo, worth some $80 billion, were transported out of the port last year, according to Maryland Governor Wes Moore. The 11th largest port in the nation, Baltimore, served an average of 207 calls a month last year, according to the shipping journal Lloyd's List. In addition, it's going to take a very long time for the Francis Scott Key Bridge to be rebuilt. As Lara Logan has pointed out, that section of I-695 was the second busiest strategic roadway in the nation for hazardous material. The second busiest strategic roadway in the nation for hazardous material, now down for 4 to 5 years, which is how long they say it will take to recover a bridge. The bridge was built specifically to move hazardous material, fuel, diesel, propane gas, nitrogen, highly flammable materials, chemicals, and oversized cargo that cannot fit in the tunnels. The supply chain now is crippled. One expert is projected that it will take more than 2 years to rebuild the bridge. While trade is nimble and will reroute, over the long term, the bridge will need to be fundamentally engineered and rebuilt, and that will take years. And it will be in excess of 2 years, said Meade of Lloyd's List. There will be significant disruption, and the cost of this infrastructure project. In 1977, the bridge cost $60 million. Take in inflation and the rapid pace to redesign and build will increase procurement premiums, and this will be a very expensive project. I would be shocked if it happens that quickly, and we shall see. In any event, we're talking about a multifaceted crisis that is going to be affecting U.S. supply chains for the foreseeable future. At a press conference following the collapse of the bridge, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg openly admitted that we are looking at a major and protracted impact on supply chains. He said there is no question that this will be a major and protracted impact on supply chains. Transport Secretary Pete Buttigieg said during a Tuesday afternoon press conference in Baltimore. I think that is the first time I have ever agreed with Pete on anything. Sadly, this is just the beginning. In the months ahead, U.S. supply chains will be hit with additional challenges, so if there are things that you're planning to purchase, I would do that now. And before I end this, there is one more thing I wanted to mention. Global supplies of cocoa just keep getting tighter and tighter, and on Tuesday, the price of cocoa jumped above $10,000 per metric ton for the first time ever. Cocoa prices hit a record Tuesday as supply constraints fuel prices higher. Futures for May delivery were up 3.9% at $10,030 per metric ton, marking the first time the commodity breaks above $10,000 mark. Cocoa has been on a tear this year, soaring nearly 138%. Difficult weather conditions and disease have affected production in West Africa, which produces about 70% of the world's cocoa. The two largest producers, Ivory Coast and Ghana, have been hit by a combination of heavy rain, dry heat, and disease recently. In January, it was less than half that price, and if you love chocolate, stock up on it while you still can. Of course, the same thing could be said about countless other things. Do you remember the supply chain problems that we experienced a couple of years ago? Well, what is eventually coming is going to absolutely dwarf that. Many are using the term Black Swan event to describe the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, but the truth is that we are moving into a time when there will be one Black Swan event after another. So get prepared while there's still an opportunity to do so, because the months and years ahead of us are going to be extremely chaotic. This is on the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Snyder. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Michael's new book entitled Chaos, available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon, and you can check out his new Substack newsletter right here. About the author, Michael Snyder, extremely controversial new book, Chaos, available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media accounts. It's definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.